Thanks, Paige. After 7 long years, the most anticipated matchup in Wylie, Texas is finally back. And Wylie has already recorded their most wins since 2019, but they have a 2-4 all-time record versus Wylie East. And Wylie East has made quite the grand entrance into 6A competition, as they have the best record in school's history, starting 6-0 and #1 in the division. And tonight, a rivalry is renewed as the #1 Raiders take on the #2 Pirates for the Crosstown Showdown. Now let's send it over to Travis.
North and east of downtown Dallas. And who is there for us? Our very own Abby Jones, who's hanging out live and in person, talking to us on television. And Abby, when you look at these two teams, it's a crosstown showdown, a rivalry renewed. What makes it so special out there?
Well, the last time that these two teams played was 2015, and that's 7 years ago. And although that these kids were young, they totally know what's at stake here tonight. You can hear both of the sidelines saying, this is our house, because this is both of their home fields. So there's a lot of pride. They want to defend their own field. And the kids, you know, they have been teammates before. They have to put those emotions aside tonight and play a football game.
Abby, we know there's talent on both sides, but there's a couple of receivers, one on each side. Talk about those.
Terrell Washington Jr. for Wylie East and Chris Lee for Wylie. And Terrell is the star of the show tonight, you know, and I asked him before the game, I said, Terrell, how are you feeling? And he said, I'm good, I'm just ready to go. And he's listed as an athlete in his position, and that's exactly what he is. The coach is playing him at the wide receiver position tonight, but he can be a running back, he can be a wide receiver, he can play safety, he can do all these things, and he's so effective because he's got 15 touchdowns on the season. He's scoring a multitude of ways, rushing, receiving, and on special teams. So he's really just a very talented guy. And then you look on the other side of the field, Chris with Wylie. He is 6'4", and you can just tell he's built different because he's a basketball player, and this is only his 7th game ever playing football. He's already got an offer from Texas A&M Commerce, so with only 7 games under his belt, you can imagine the kind of talent that he's putting out to already receive an offer. But one thing that I want to note is when I was talking with Marcus Gold earlier this week, Wylie East's head coach, he said, I actually opted for the team to sleep in a little bit, get a few extra hours of sleep and rest, and the guys said, no coach, we want to be here at 6 a.m. doing those early morning practices. So although it was a break for some people, these teams really have meant business with it, and you can feel it here tonight. It's electric, and these guys are ready to go.
Abby, no doubt about that. We can feel it from that atmosphere. We look forward to checking back with you as the highlights and interviews roll in this one. And Abby Jones caught up with Marcus Gold at intermission.
All right, I'm here with Coach Gold. You're up 11-10. That was a quiet first quarter. You're earning every single yard, catch, pass. Tell me about the first quarter in comparison to the second quarter where it was electric.
Well, if you want a rivalry renewed, I think Wylie East and Wylie High are getting what they wanted. You know, we started off pretty tough there on the offensive side of the ball. We couldn't get things rolling. I think we kind of got more in a groove right there at the end. Defense needs to come up with some more stops, stop giving up the big plays so much, and just settle in, live in the moment. We'll be all right in the second half.
Defensively, you've said they're the better team on paper, and you use that as an underdog mentality. Michael Henderson, he has 4 interceptions on the year. He's got 2 at the half. What are you seeing from him?
He's a special player. He has a knack for the football. He's got to continue to keep his eyes right, know who he's watching, keep his keys, don't get tricked by anything that's coming out in the second half. But he's doing some really good things right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
You know the energy is happening in Wylie East, and who better to tell us about that energy than Miss Abby Jones. Abby, happy to be talking with you. Talk to me about defense. This has been, I mean, obviously it's a really close game, and it looks like it's going to come down to whose defense ends up playing better here in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, on paper, Wylie is the better team, and Wylie East knows that. And actually, a 6-0 team, they feel like the underdog in this scenario, and they said they're tapping into that mentality. They're playing lights-out football here, and I was originally worried that these kids couldn't put their feelings and friendships aside to play a football game. I was absolutely wrong. There are face mask and targeting calls. These guys are heavy hitters. It's taking multiple people to bring them down. So defensively, they're stepping up to the plate. I actually talked to Wylie East. I'm on their sidelines, and I asked their defensive guys, I said, what's going on? How are you feeling? And they said, we're ready. We really are going to bring it tonight. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're stepping up a little bit more offensively here. And Wylie, they actually held Wylie East to 68 total yards of offense in the first. So it's just super dominant, super physical, definitely electric here.
Jaden Hubbard, Terrell Washington Jr., these two are a special combination. Abby, what makes them so dynamic, quarterback to receiver? Seems like they're so in sync on the football field, know exactly where each person is going to be. What do you see out of the two of them, and what makes them such a special combination?
So the chemistry has been there, but the connection is just now clicking. You know, Jaden and Terrell, they're both seniors, and I said, Coach, tell me, you know, has this been the story all along? And he said, no, the first 3 years of their high school season, they actually hardly won any games, but they are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I think Wylie's game plan was just honestly to slow Terrell down. That's kind of what they did in the first half, but Jaden and Terrell, they're connecting here tonight. Like I said, offensively, it's, you know, exploding a little bit here. They're having a lot of success running and throwing the ball, so it's honestly a new ball game in the second half, but it's loud here. It is packed. It's still fall break for the schools, but I guess everyone canceled on their trips a little bit early because the stadium, I mean, you can't find a seat.
No doubt. It is a cool environment out there tonight. We will check back with you, Abby, as this one heads towards a final.
And Abby Jones there to witness it.
From underdogs to unbeaten, the #1 Raiders keep their spot at the top after a battle that would only do a rivalry justice.
I'm unbelievably just proud of our kids in that first half, and what I told them at halftime. The thing that I was just most excited about is when somebody made a bad play or missed the ball or missed a tackle, we had guys just picking them up and telling them it was okay. And I think it was in that moment in the first half where I was like, hey, we're really coming together as a team.
We went into the locker room and changed everything up. We simply just went back to the tradition and not switch it up no more. Went back to the tradition and made plays.
We came out at halftime. We were like, we want to win this game. It's the other school. We have to win this game. So, you know, I was pretty bad in the first half. You know, I had to come back and win the game.
The Raiders' defense rose to the occasion on their home turf as they made the big stops where it mattered most. Michael Henderson led the momentum defensively with 2 interceptions that flipped the script on Wylie.
We've got grit. You know, there's going to be times where our offense is going to have to pick it up. There's going to be times where our defense is going to have to pick it up. We play together, solid team effort.
The Raiders will carry this momentum into next week as they play another district game against North Garland. But with the slogan, Dub East, on their minds for one game at a time, depending on brothers.